says they threatened to kill Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Officials say 19-year-old Samuel Kane.
Take a look at this guy in SOT 3.
This video goes out to Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman Nancy Mace, I hope that one day I do find you in that woman's bathroom and I grab your ratty looking fucking hair and drag your face down to the floor while I repeatedly bash it in until the blood's everywhere and you're dead. Thank you. I hope that Nancy Mace receives this message well.
In a shocking and highly polarizing turn of events, South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace has once again landed in national headlines, this time not for her controversial statements, but for being the alleged target of a very serious death threat. A 19-year-old transgender activist from Greenville, South Carolina, known publicly as Roxy Wolf and legally as Samuel Theodore Kane, has been arrested and charged with threatening the life of the Congresswoman. The charges stem from an April 26 post on X, formerly known as Twitter, where Kane allegedly wrote, in all caps, "I'm going to assassinate Representative Nancy Mace with a gun, and I'm being 100% deadass." The nature of the threat, combined with the clear targeting of a sitting member of Congress, quickly triggered a federal investigation. Kane, who identifies as a transgender woman, was reportedly interviewed by the FBI just 4 days after the post was made. During this interview, Kane admitted to making the threat. Despite that admission, authorities allowed several days to pass before arresting Kane on May 15th. This delay is now raising questions from some corners of the media and political world. Should there have been an immediate arrest? Was the threat underestimated because it came from a teenager and was made on social media? Others argue the response was appropriate, allowing investigators time to assess the credibility of the threat before taking legal action. At the bond hearing held on May 16th, emotions ran high. Magistrate James Hudson denied bond, calling Kane a credible threat to Representative Mace. Mace herself was present at the hearing and gave a searing victim impact statement. She expressed how the threat against her has deeply affected her and her family, saying, "I've waited for this for a long time." Mace has previously spoken about receiving multiple threats, but this one, she says, felt different, more direct, more dangerous. She also made it clear that she believes this is part of a larger pattern of extremism, specifically pointing a finger at what she described as the trans movement, which she labeled a cult. That last comment, unsurprisingly, lit a firestorm on social media and across political circles. Mace's statement calling the transgender movement a cult and describing trans individuals as mentally ill and violent was met with immediate backlash from LGBTQ+ advocates, civil rights groups, and many of her own critics. They argue that painting an entire community with the brush of one individual's actions is irresponsible and dangerous. To them, it feels less like a call for justice and more like political opportunism, using a disturbing crime to further stigmatize an already marginalized group. But supporters of Mace see it differently. They believe her language, while provocative, reflects the frustration of someone who feels genuinely under siege. Some Republican colleagues have echoed her concerns, saying that public figures, especially women in politics, face disproportionate threats, and that these should be taken seriously, regardless of the identity of the alleged perpetrator. They argue that the conversation shouldn't be about whether Mace's language was politically correct, but about how to protect elected officials from real and present danger. The timing of the incident couldn't be more politically charged. Mace has been at the forefront of introducing legislation aimed at restricting transgender individuals from using bathrooms that align with their gender identity on federal property. This has already made her a lightning rod for criticism from LGBTQ+ rights groups. She's also gone viral for standing outside various bathroom signs and posting photos and videos as part of her campaign, acts many have interpreted as antagonistic and deliberately inflammatory. This isn't Mace's first brush with controversy. Just weeks before the arrest, she was involved in another widely circulated incident, an aggressive confrontation at an Ulta beauty store with a gay constituent named Ely Murray Quick. In the video, which Mace herself posted to her social media accounts, she can be seen using profanity and accusing the man of harassing her. He, in turn, claims he was simply asking about her town hall schedule and did not expect to be cursed at. That video went viral, sparking debate about public officials' accountability, boundaries, and the line between political protest and personal harassment. All of this comes amid a broader national conversation about the safety of politicians, the role of social media in inciting violence, and the rapidly intensifying culture war around gender identity. While some on the right are using this incident to argue that trans activism has gone too far, voices on the left warn that this could fuel even more discriminatory legislation, potentially putting trans lives at greater risk. And in the middle of all of this stands Nancy Mace, someone who has made a name for herself by walking a line between traditional conservative politics and headline-grabbing statements. She's not afraid of controversy. In fact, she often seems to thrive on it. Whether it's feuding with her own party leadership or clashing with LGBTQ+ activists, Mace has cultivated an image of a political brawler, willing to say things others won't. But is this helping her or hurting her in the long run? That remains to be seen. She's facing a tough re-election battle in 2026. And while incidents like this boost her profile, they also polarize voters. To some, she's a defender of women's spaces and free speech. To others, she's an opportunist stoking division at a time when unity is sorely needed. The arrest of Roxy Wolf may have given her a temporary surge of attention, but it also brings a serious set of ethical and legal questions to the forefront. What should we do when political discourse becomes so toxic that it spills into threats of violence? Where is the line between free speech and criminal speech? And perhaps most importantly, how do we respond when marginalized individuals commit acts of extremism? Do we treat them as individuals, or do we use their actions to justify broader societal crackdowns? These aren't easy questions, and this case won't answer them all. But it forces us to confront a disturbing truth. The gap between political disagreement and real-world violence is getting narrower. As long as our discourse remains inflammatory, the risk of escalation will always be there, no matter which side of the aisle you're on. The next steps in this case are still unfolding. Kane remains in custody, and further court proceedings will determine the final outcome. Meanwhile, Nancy Mace is doubling down on her message, appearing on conservative news networks, repeating her concerns, and presenting herself as a target of political violence. And whether you agree with her or not, it's clear she's not stepping away from the spotlight anytime soon. If this incident tells us anything, it's that America's culture wars are far from over, and the battle lines are only getting sharper. Whether you view Nancy Mace as a victim, a provocateur, or something in between, her name is now part of a growing list of political figures caught in the crossfire of 21st century rage. And as always, the real challenge is not just how we react to moments like this, but how we move forward. How do we rebuild dialogue in a world where a single tweet can land you in jail and a public figure's bathroom photo can become a viral symbol of hate? There are no easy answers. But the conversation, for better or worse, isn't going away.